As I continue to move through February, Black History Month, I realize that I have so much to say and I don't know sometimes where to begin, because the horror of so many things that have happened to people of color in America and all over the globe that needs to be said. I finally make a decision that we have to know and can never forget who we are dealing with. This subtitle will be "Don't Forget the Human Disaster." I never realized that the Willie Lynch Letter incorporated the miseducation of the Negro. I guess not its written theology, but by the performance of some of the deeds and the thinking, okay? The miseducation of the Negro was worse than the lynchings and the whippings, the breeding, because if you can control a person's mind, they can be a slave forever. Now we're talking about a man who came to America to teach his methods to slave owners here in America. The book is important because it is capital in its historical role and value. That means money. Slaves equals capital. Now, local planters, and that was in America, were traumatizing black slaves so that they could become submissive. Their technique was simple and horrible, frightened most of them blankless. It was just simple: rip a few apart after tarring, feathering them, setting them on fire with matches, tying them to two horses, one leg one way, one leg another way, and just simply tear them apart. The black rebellious individual, still not yet a slave, who would never be, would be torn apart. Of course, it was not something that made them money, but we believe that this was what they called fun. But it was not profitable. Now, they had to find a way in which to make their slaves more docile and controllable, and to continue to grow their wealth. Now, this lasted to like 1865, and then they said the passing of the 13th Amendment. Then they talked about the right to vote, full protection of the law, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, giving the right to vote after the Civil War, protection under the law. Some practices are die-hard habits with exploiters of other human beings, because you were reduced to chattel. in a system called chattel slavery. So how can you protect somebody that is classified as chattel slavery no better than a human, no better than a cow or a horse? You call them 3/5 of a human being. Your Constitution talks about citizens. And because we know this is the truth, because you made an exception and did not count Indians as human beings either. But you made an exception. You didn't reduce them to 3/5 of a human being. You know, it was kind of funny because they keep on pulling these tricks on us. So the Constitution doesn't really apply if you are a pig or a horse. So you trying to tell us that chattel slavery, 13, 14, and 15 Amendment apply to us? You know? So you never did intend on giving us or doing anything for us. How you going to? So you will write a check to 3/5 of a person, right? We've been hoodwinked, bamboozled. But it's never over till the fat lady sings. You see, this kind of treatment leads to post-traumatic slave disorder. It's a syndrome that needs to be fully healed by the descendants of slaves. It's absolute proof that behavior is transmitted from parents to children, from social environment to children. Those who negate that fact in the name of freedom are simply wrong. But they never had to go through what we had to go through. So those who write about this, and if they weren't former slaves, know nothing of which they talk about. Behavior is not the sole result of mentally free, intelligent choices. Still, it is, alas, 3 times, the result of die-hard habits transmitted from one generation to the next through genes, but educational, ideological, religiously. I wanted to bring that up, and that's a hard pill to swallow, and forgive me if I butchered a word or two. I like to talk raw, real, no music, none of the theatrics. All of this is just simply me. The last thing I want to do is talk about gentrification. And we're going to start off with Seneca Village. But have you noticed that all around the world, all around our cities, neighborhoods that used to be black, all of a sudden now are getting to be white, and all of those abandoned buildings and everything, it can find money to fix the streets and everything else. But let's look at another way that they use to get the land that they wanted and the things that they wanted. Most people may not even know about Seneca Village, an African American and Irish community that was founded in 1820s, continued to exist, and was created in the 1850s. But everybody were evicted from their homes in Seneca Village in 1857, especially when they found out what kind of hub that New York was going to be, what kind of money they were going to be able to make off it. So what they did what they always did. They got rid of the people that were there and got the land for nothing. Okay? And they didn't give a damn where the Irish or black people went. But see, the difference is the Irish fought Americans. I just want you to think that. When the Italians and Americans came here, they were no better, classified no better than black people, slaves. They fought their way out of it. They gangstered their way out of it. And here we are, still looking stupid.